All right, unique Mecca audio, man. I'm gonna tell you this one here is about mind playing tricks on you. This how dudes be having their mind playing tricks on you. I'm gonna give you a couple of different scenarios. We're gonna take a little ride and we're gonna enjoy this. Now, I'm gonna take it in the prison. I'm gonna take it on the street. I'm gonna ride with it. Now, I got a celly. They give me a celly over there in Atwater. Little young boy, he out of Florida. So it's about the Florida car. Now, young boy come over there and he got a sale. I needed somewhere to go because I'm just coming. I wanted to get a TV sale, so I wanted to move my sale. So I find somebody that want to sell the sale. Now, dude sells the sale, said that he's gonna move out, or if I want, he could stay in there. Real clean dude, didn't have a lot of property. I had a ton of legal papers because I'm fighting for my life, life plus 26. So he was a good celly to have because sooner or later they're gonna give you a celly anyway. So I kept little dude up in the sale. But the only issue was, dude was a gunner. So they told me the dude was a gunner ahead of time. My DC homeboys, they, helped me get the sale. And, because they knew everybody in the unit. So now they telling me about this dude. While they telling me about him, I go push up on him and I'm talking to him and I'm, trying to feel him out. So I'm trying to find out his history. So I asked him, yo, what happened at the last spot? How you got here? Wanted to make sure he wasn't no penitentiary rat or nothing. So he telling me, nah, everything is good, man. All I do is mess with the ladies. I just, I get up in the morning, I clean up and I go, and then, I go find me a lady to holler at. I said, what you mean a lady to holler at? He said, because they got all these females here. If they work in a prison, they must be lonely. They man don't care about them, or they taking care of a dude with a government check. So, they man ain't giving them no time because, like I said, they either lonely or, they taking care of the man. So I go, I give them attention, and, I wind up getting mines, and, they let me do what I got to do. I said, what you mean do what you got to do? He said, I do me. I said, what you mean do me? He said, I gun him. You know what I mean? You gun him. You know what I mean? I said, what you mean you gun him? I'm playing gullible now. I know what he's talking about. I'm just getting him talking. So he's like, nah, I go pay somebody a couple of books of stamps to use they sell, that's close to the office. And, they look at me and they make faces and things like that. They might wink at me, lick their tongue, lick the top of the pen, just any little thing that, it simulates sex. So I'm like, this dude twisted. You know what I mean? But I don't say nothing. I want him to keep talking because I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep him in the cell or not. But, like I said, I had to have somebody in there. He didn't have a lot of property, so that was his big check, So dude sit there now, and he goes out and go do what he got to do. He comes back. So I said, yo, but you ain't tell me what happened at the last spot. He said, man, I had this one girl, man. I was married. I said, oh, you got married in a joint? He said, yeah. I said, oh, so we your girl from Florida? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. So she gonna come out here to visit you? He said, nah, she can't. I said, oh, wow, what happened? She got arrested? He said, nah, she a correction officer at the last spot I was at in Florida. I said, a correction officer? So how you marry her? He said, we got married. I said, but how you get married? He said, nah, we got married. I said, nah, nigga, you gotta tell me a little more than that. And I'm laughing now. I'm smiling because I got him going, so I need him to keep talking. So come to find out, he self-proclaimed himself married to a correction officer. So he's telling me how he used to gun her every day, and you know what I mean? Whenever she came around, she'd stand up and lean over the rail so he could do his thing, and you know what I mean? Or she come stand up outside the office and she'll stand on her left leg and let the right leg hang to make the cheek hang over, and you know what I mean? She'll bounce her leg, and while she bouncing her leg, he's up there gunning her, aka masturbating to her. So I said, come on, dog. You know what I mean? I said, so was she looking at you? He said, nah, her back was turned. So I said, so how you know she was interested in you? He said, yo, she wanted it, dog. She wanted it. I said, how you know she wanted it? And he's like, I'm telling you, man, I was married to her. I said, all right, so what happened? How you got put out? So now he turns around and he tells me he got put out because, she was with another officer and he was gunning her, and the other officer made her write him up. I said, made her write him up. He said, yeah, because the dude seen me. You know what I mean? I said, well, if that was an inmate, who would have put the knife in you. He said, nah, I was in the FCI. I said, okay, well, you in the penitentiary now. And, if you plan on staying in here and you doing wild shit like that, and an inmate see you and he come up in here to stab you, you know what I mean? He can't do it because that's in my cell. And, I can't get involved because that's around. That's, that's not tolerated. And, So he's like, nah, I'm telling you, I be knowing who I be getting. I said, okay, so, how did you get transferred if you made her write you up? I mean, couldn't she write the check up, the ticket up in a manner that would play it off to let it be known, like, so you could beat the shop? He said, nah, the dude must have stood over her, you know? So I said, so did you get a phone number? He said, nah. Did you get an address? He said, nah. I said, so then how was you married and you have no more content that you left? You don't think that maybe you was a stalker, my nigga? You know what I mean? And he's like, nah, you bugging. I said, nah, I think you bugging. And he argued me down that I'm the one that's bugging because this female really wanted him and he was married to her. So now he goes out and he goes to the law library, and they had this little Spanish chick working there. And he come back, he telling me how she a freak, she like him, she this and that. He got it all in his head. Any female look at him, he think he like him. So this one is for the females, man. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Hit the like, subscribe my Instagram on the top. You got to issue what I'm saying, because I'm getting ready to get real wild with this one. You know what I mean? So dude comes, and he's telling me all this stuff about this lady in the education. He's there till 9 o'clock at night when this lady go home, and he's sitting there. So I go over there one night and I see him, and he's walking around, and he's leaning up in the hallway, and he's looking like a cold creep. Everything he's doing, you can tell he just look like a stalker. So I said, man, I'm gonna have to holler this dude when we get back to the cell. So now he come back to the cell, and he telling me that, man, you bugging. I said, nah, dog, I seen her. The girl wasn't paying you no mind. She was doing her work. He said, nah, I went and got the Alpha Smart and I gave it back, and she winked at me. I said, my nigga, I was standing right there when you got the Alpha Smart. That's a little computer keyboard thing they got that you type with, and got the little lines on the thing where you can see what you typing, and you plug it up to a printer and it print out whatever you type, legal work, personal letters, poems, whatever. So now I'm like, come on, my nigga, I seen the whole thing. He said, man, I'm telling you, So he go down here the next day at 3 o'clock. He down there for about, 12:30. They call recall at 3 o'clock. So now when it's time to call recall, he comes back in the cell, and he lay down, and he's like, man, you know such and such? And I said, nah, who you talking about? And he called his name. I don't know everybody's names. So I said, nah, the DC dude, boo, boo, boo. And I'm like, nah, I don't know who that is. They got a bunch of young DC dudes. They was real wild. I dealt with the older men, Larry Moe, Antone White, Mario, a.k.a. Minx, rest in peace. You know what I mean? And, Mo Styles, Titus. The men out of D.C., so I don't know the little youngins, no disrespect to the youngins, you know what I mean? I stayed in my lane, you know what I mean? I'm an older man, so, I deal with older men that got older wisdom. And those all are good brothers. Round of applause for the brothers. Round of applause for the brothers. Round of applause. All right, calm down. All right, so check. So now we laying down in there 4 o'clock count. Now, as soon as the count cleared, a DC dude come running up in the cell with 2 more homies, you know what I mean? And they ready to stab him, So I'm like, yo, ho, you can't do that in here. You know what I mean? I knew all of them by face, and I knew one of them personally. You know what I mean? So I said, hold up, you can't do that in here. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, not my bag. I ain't know that was your celly, but he did some creep shit down at the library. I'm like, what you mean some creep shit? He said, man, we in the library, and he down there, and, he said something to the lady, and, you know what I mean? And my man went up there to go turn back the Alpha Smart, and he gritting on my man like he wanted beef. You know what I mean? I said, what you mean like he wanted beef? He said, yeah, he gritting on my man and looking all crazy at him. So, my man, he ready to put the knife in him. And I said, hold up, man. So I'm going to let y'all get a fair one. You want to get a fair one with him. You know what I mean? So my man at the time, he backing up, my celly. He backing up, and he reaching. You know what I mean? So he reaching for the joint. You know what I mean? While he backing up, because he was brushing his teeth. They just opened the door, and you got these 3 DC dudes in there. So when he went to go backing up like he had a joint, you know what I mean? Now they go, and they ready to pull out. But I told them, hold up. This my cell. So they like, nah, we waiting for him outside. So now they go out, and I tell them, yo, I'm going to see y'all at dinner time, man. You know what I mean? And we're going to deal with this at dinner time. Let me get myself together. So they leave, and they go to go get themselves together for dinner. And we meet up on the yard. And when we meet up in the yard, all the big homies is with them. And one of the little homies told the main dude that they went to hold down, you know what I mean? Went and told the big homies that Marcelli pulled a knife on him when they came up in the cell. You know what I mean? So now you know all the big homies from DC said, nah, if a nigga pull a knife on you, you got to put your knife in him. You know what I mean? So now the topic of the conversation that was going to save my man's life was, did he brandish the knife? Pay attention now. Pay attention.
Mecca what? Mecca audio.
Because I'm giving you some real Mecca audio game. Now, so that's the topic. Did he brandish the knife? Because if you pull a gun on somebody, you know what I mean? You got to shoot him and he got to shoot you. You put a knife on somebody, you got to shoot him and he got to shoot you. You know, stab you. You know, shoot you means stab you. Now, so when this going down, I'm thinking, you know, I like this little kid. He a little creep, you know what I mean? But he's a good dude, and all he got is his father. He was raised with his father and his stepmother, and he got little issues. I done learned all that from living in the cell with him. So now I got to downplay it because if I say that he pulled the knife, you know what I mean, where he brandished the knife, then they're going to tell the little homie he got no choice. He got to stab him. So now his life is in my hands, you know? So I pulled the big homie aside. I said, look, man, he backed up. He was reaching for the joint. The joint got stuck in his pants. He ain't get a chance to pull it out. But yeah, he was reaching for the joint. You know what I mean? So he said, all right. So my little homie got at least fight him for even thinking about pulling the knife on him. You know what I mean? So now they ain't going to put the knife on him. They're going to give him a fair one. So I said, all right, we can deal with that. You know what I mean? So now they go in the gym and they get the rumbling and rolling. They rocking. You know what I mean? So they fighting. You know, no disrespect to Florida. You know what I mean? The little Florida dude, he got the crap beat out of him. Bottom line, he got the crap beat out of him. So he kept wanting to go back to fight. He had heart like a lion. He kept going back in, but obviously, as a matter of fact, I think he was from, no disrespect, he was from Kissimmee, Florida. So he obviously wasn't used to fighting that much. So, you know, the kid beat him up. So now we come back in the cell, and his eyes all swollen up, and he looking all crazy, and I'm talking to him. I said, my nigga, what happened? You know what I mean? That made dude even want to come up on you in the cell. He said, nah, I'm down there, and he go get an Alpha Small back, and he looking too hard at my girl. I said, your girl? He said, yeah, my girl. I said, who? He said, you know, the little Spanish lady that worked down the library. I said, my nigga, that little Spanish girl is not thinking about you. I told you I seen it. You're going to sit here and get killed over playing these games with these. Come on, my nigga. You know? So he's like, nah, I'm telling you. I said, look, man done beat you up. Your face swole up. You look like a piñata that done been punched around on, you know, Cinco de Mayo. Stop the crap. You know what I mean? She don't want you. You got this all in your mind. You know what I mean? I said, I seen you come out the kitchen the other day, and you came out the kitchen, and a lady pulled you over to search you if you had stolen food, and you came back and you told me that she just wanted a funky roll. I said, then why you didn't charge her, nigga? You know what I mean? You know? So he's like, nah, she always pulling people over. I said, okay, well, how often do she pull you over? Oh, that was the first time. I said, so what make you think she wants you? He said, because that's the beginning. I said, nah, that's the beginning in your mind, my nigga. Your mind playing tricks on you. That lady ain't thinking about you. She's doing your job and trying to catch you stealing chicken out that goddamn kitchen. And you sitting here putting your mind that that lady wants you. You don't think something wrong with that. Nah, you bugging. I said, oh, I'm bugging. So everybody else is bugging, you know what I mean, that don't, you know, gun females. And couldn't you believe this man said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, because any man that been in here this long, there's no reason for them to sit here and say that they wouldn't, you know, gun a female. I said, my nigga, I wouldn't gun no female. You know what I mean? He said, that's what I'm saying. You bugged out. I said, you bugged out. You know what I mean? I'm bugged out. He said, yeah. I said, oh, man. But you see how twisted the mind is in the prison? These dudes playing tricks on them that the female want them. There was another dude when I was in Florida now. Now I go to Florida after I leave that spot. And I'm in Florida, and it's this little Spanish secretary that used to work there. And she was a little freak, you know what I mean? Because I used to get up in the morning and have my little phone sex. We all got our little ways of releasing, you know what I mean, other than dealing with each other. So my thing was my little phone sex. I go out there 6 in the morning, everybody sleep, throw a blanket over my shoulder. I take my shoulder, my jacket, put it over my lap, and I just learn to use just my wrist. You know what I mean? Learn to use just my wrist. Just keep it at 100, you know what I mean? Round of applause. You know what I mean? All right, calm down. Now, just so you know, we all give, you know what I mean, our palms a name. You know what I mean? Now, you might call it Mary Palm. Susie Palm, Tamika Palm, whatever it is, whatever girl you're thinking about, that's what the name of your palm is. So you think that you're dealing with and running up in Tamika while you're doing you. So I used to get up every morning like 6 o'clock when I know everybody's asleep, and I could slide out there. So only one or two people out there, and I get on the phone and you know what I mean? Dudes don't even pay attention to dudes when they're on the phone, especially 6 in the morning, or if they bring a coat or a jacket, because they know what a dude doing, but you try to show a little respect by covering up. So I get up every morning and get my little thing. And this went on for about 3 months. So every morning I used to see her, you know, about 8:30, she come out to smoke. She was a chain smoker. And she'll come out and she'll look at me and she grit. She making her face up. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, what I do to this woman? Why she acting like that? But she come out, she making her face up. You know? So she said to me one day, who you be calling every morning? I said, I'll be calling my wife. He'd be like, oh, you know, you think that's appropriate? I said, what? You know what I mean? What you doing with her every morning? I said, what do you mean what I'm doing with her? Because it didn't even dawn on me that she was listening to the call in the back. You know what I mean? Because they listen to the call to see if you make a three-way call, you plan to bring drugs, or, you know, you talking about a murder or whatever. So I said, yeah, it's appropriate. You know what I mean? I said, I don't mess with boys. I get up in the morning and I get my joint off with my woman. You know what I mean? She said, well, I've been listening to you for the last 3 months. I said, why don't you listen to somebody else call then? You know what I mean? She said, no, because I think you're disgusting. I said, oh, I'm disgusted, but you're listening to the call for 90 days. But I'm the one that's disgusted. You know what I mean? So she leaves and she go back and she go tell my unit manager that every morning I'm getting up and I'm, you know, getting my man on the phone. You know what I mean? Me masturbate. You know what I mean? So she was the unit manager with a little bad body, blonde head, had a big belly, looked like she had a tumor. She was all the way busted. And she was married to this big racist ass cop. Y'all was in Coleman, y'all know who I'm talking about. Big racist ass cop that just hated blacks. All he did was wear those state trooper glasses with the mirror on it, and he just look around, and anytime you talking to him, he just looking dead at you and he gritting. You know? So I'm like, come on, dog. You know what I mean? So she pulls up on me and she said, oh, Miss such and such told me what you be doing in the morning. You know what I mean? I said, yeah, because everybody sleeps, so I'm not disrespecting anybody. She said, yeah, but she think it's disrespectful. I said, well, tell her stop listening to my call. Well, it's her job. I said, well, it's my job to, you know, to get off. You know what I mean? To relieve myself, and that's how I choose to do it. You know? I said, is it against the prison rules? You know what I mean? And she said, yeah. I said, yeah. She said, because that's called engaging in sexual act. I said, but it's me and my girl, and it's me engaging with my damn self, you know? And she said, yeah, well, you're not allowed to do that. I said, oh, so you trying to tell me that we not supposed to, you know, masturbate? You know what I mean? And she said, no. I said, oh, come on, y'all crazy as hell. If that's the case, write me a goddamn shot, you know? So she knew she could have. It is a shot, though. It's called a 205. You know what I mean? Engaging in, like a 205A. They added it to the situation. You know? So I tell her, well, write me a shot then. You know what I mean? Because I ain't going to stop masturbating with my girl. This is what I do, man. You know what I mean? So they didn't write me up for that. But I was using other people's pack number because you only get 15 minutes a month, each call. And you get 20 calls a month. 20 times 15 adds up to 300. That's the 300 minutes a month that we got based on, you know, what I told you in the other video that Rayford Edmonds did, you know, when he dived us out on the phone. So she turns around now and she tells me, you know, you're using other people's pack numbers. That means numbers to get in the phone. So I said, nah, I ain't use nobody pack number. So being that I'm only get 300 minutes and trying to, you know, go every day to get my man, yeah, every day, you know what I mean? And then need to call home, talk to lawyer, talk to kids, talk to this, talk to that, friends, everything else. 300 minutes don't add up. So you go give somebody 2-3 books a month, you know, and they give you their pack number, you use their pack number, now you got their 300. You get 5 people, you get 1,500 minutes a month. So being that I have money on the books because I'm hustling and enjoying, people sending me money, I could afford to do all this. So this is what I'm doing. So now she writes me a shot, and I got the shots. You know what I mean? Put in the comments. I want to hear your comments on this. Make sure I want to hear your comments on this. So I still got the shots to this day. They turned around and they gave me like 40 incident reports for using the phone 40 times unauthorized. But they wrote it up that I used the phone, that I used multiple pack numbers, you know, multiple times. but they gave me 40 individual shots for using the phone one day. Now, I use one pack number, you understand? I get on and I make a phone call. I talk for a minute, you know what I mean, to whoever, y'all, okay, yo, make sure you take care of that. Send me the new Straight Stunting magazine. Big shout out to K Slay, rest in peace. Big shout out to K Slay, rest in peace. Big shout out. So check it out. So I call K Slay and tell K Slay, yo, send me the newest Straight Stunting and send me some pictures of this model you had in there, whatever. I got some dudes trying to buy it. Because dudes will buy the little pictures and then they'll go, you know what I mean, and masturbate to the little big butt girls in the Straight Stunting magazine. You know what I mean? And, you know, they'll even give them a name, you know? And big shout out to Preem from the Supreme Team. Big shout out to Preem from the Supreme Team. All right. Let me get back to this. So Supreme for the Supreme Team started a thing called Picture Perfect, where he used to go get pictures of hood girls. There was a girl, and if you watching this, you know what I mean, reach out so I can, you know, bring you on the show. It's a girl named Kitty, you know what I mean, that they had on the joint. Not Kitty that I told you about in Lone Park, the man that thought he was a cat, you know what I mean, while he was having sex. Not that Kitty. It was a female named Kitty, and y'all know of everybody that was in the prison know Kitty, because they all loved her. She had like a little burnt mark on her left or right ass cheek. And she had a fat ass, and this was before they had all the injections and all that. You buy ass and tits and all that. But she had a natural big butt, but she was burnt, you know what I mean, on the side. But, you know, we all from the hood, so, you know what I mean, like me. You know, I look at Straight Stunting, and I see these girls that's airbrushed, you know what I mean, and it don't turn me on. You know what I mean? You see the airbrush with the fake breasts and the fake, you know, the dunk. That don't turn me on. You know what I mean? It's too perfect. You know, I'm from the hood. Give me a chick with a bullet hole in the left ass cheek. You know what I mean? Give me a chick that I know been through war wounds. You know, give me a chick that got a scar on her neck. You know, that got a $1.50 on her forehead. You know what I mean? Somebody that I know I could relate to. I don't need to see these glamorous airbrush girls. And I'm sure a bunch of my homies know what I'm talking about. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Ain't nothing. Hold up, man. Hold up. Ain't nothing better than a hood chick with a bullet hole in the ass cheek. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing better. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, my nigga. You know? So we up in the joint, and they gave me like 40 shots for each time I used the phone. So I used the phone at 7 o'clock. I hang up. I got to wait till 7:15. And so I used the phone at 7:16, 15 minutes later. You got to wait 15 minutes between each call. So every time I touched the phone, they gave me a shot, and this was the same pack number I use all day. You know what I mean? Following the rules, waiting the 15 minutes. But that's how I beat the shot. You know what I mean? But all this started because this little chick was in the back listening to me masturbate on the phone with my wife early in the morning. You know what I mean? And was mad because I wasn't interested. I ain't know it was because I wasn't interested. You know what I mean? Because the reason why I found out that is because when I went to DHO, it was another female that they had that was working there. Y'all was in Coleman, you know what I mean, Coleman, Florida. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And this one was bad. Blonde hair, blue eyes, nice body. You know what I mean? She was, I ain't gonna front. She was an asshole, but she was gorgeous. She was a gorgeous asshole. You know what I mean? But now, she started off from working in the education as a school teacher and worked their way up to be the DHO. That's the disciplinary hearing officer. That's like the top job that you could get because you don't work for the institution. You work for the region. You know what I mean? Now, the reason why she got that job, you know, I guess I like to bounce and dance. So let me just bounce and dance with this and, you know, give y'all my little fling. You know what I mean? My little early morning chilling with my peoples. So now, what happened is the DHO dude that was there, she was screwing him. You know what I mean? He got promoted to be the head DHO for the whole region. And being that she was sucking him off so good, you know what I mean? I get, you know, her throat job was on 10,000. But he gives her the job that he had as the DHO when there was other people there that was trained for it, and this lady wasn't trained for it. But now, just my luck, this badass female is like great friends with this Spanish chick that started all this from listening to the calls. So now when I go into the DHO, I'm going there, I got all my evidence down packed, and they asked me how I plead. I said, I plead not guilty. You know what I mean? She said, I knew you was going to say that. I said, yeah, I pled not guilty. So she said, well, you know, what happened? I said, you know, I'm in there, I'm using the phone, you know, I'm masturbating my wife every morning. She's listening to the calls, you know what I mean? And she's telling me that it's disgusting, you know what I mean? But it's her job to listen to the calls. So if you listen to the call and you hear that you know, the moaning and groaning and my, you know, my female going off on the other end or whatever, then you know, find another call. You don't sit there and listen to the whole 15 minutes for 90 days and then come back and say that the brother did something wrong. You know, come on, man.
Mecca what? Mecca audio.
Cause that's how I get down. Now, she said, well, you know, step outside for a minute. So I stepped out there and they called a lady in there. So when they called the lady in there, they asked her what happened. You know what I mean? And she told them whatever she told them because I'm outside the joint. So when we come back in, the lady said, well, I'm going to stop the tape, but I'm going to talk to you personally. You know what I mean? So I said, all right, what is it? So she said, look, all this started because, you know, the secretary, you know, feels that you're disrespecting her. I said, how am I disrespecting if I'm talking to my wife on the phone? She said, nah, not because of that. She's saying because all the other guys, they be gunning her, and instead of you gunning her, you're getting on the phone to pleasure yourself instead of pleasuring yourself looking at her. I said, so she mad because I don't want to be a creep and beat my joint to her? I mean, where they do that at? You know what I mean? And she's like, well, that's where it started. That's my girl. You know what I mean? I got to hold it down, so I'm finding you guilty. Bow. Found me guilty. Took my phone for 18 months, man. For 18 months. So you know me, I took all them shots and I sent it back to the region and I beat the shots. This is how I beat the shots. When I sent it back to the region, I told the region that they accused me of using someone else's pack number. You know? That's one person, one number, so it should have only been one shot. You know what I mean? They took for 18 months. They took each shot, added them up at like 6 months apiece and ran it crazy and told me I lost my phone for like, 18 years she tried to take it for originally. You know what I mean? But act like she was doing me a favor, dropping it to 18 months. But when I wrote them in the region, even her man that she was sucking off real good, you know what I mean? He had to agree with me. So he sent it back and said they got to give me a new hearing because it was one pack number, so it should only be one shot. You know what I mean? So I go back in there now. She finds me guilty and she takes my phone for 6 months. I said, nah, I'll appeal that too. So now when I appeal that, I write back to him and I tell him, she's taking my phone, you know what I mean, for using someone else's pack number, you know, but whose pack number did I use? Because they didn't write no one else up. They just wrote me up. You know what I mean? So now I got her. So they go back, and they can't go back and give my man a shot, so it ain't like telling her nothing. You know, because you know these little haters in the YouTube world, they look for anything to talk about. So now they go back, and the DHO come back, and he throw it out, and he gives me back my phone. Now, so I got my phone back, and I see the lady, and they had like a big fight jumped off. So when the big fight jumped off, they call it emergency lockdown. So they run around, they locking doors real quick. So she a secretary, but she gets the key because emergency when the deuces go off, everybody come and lock the door. So she locking the door, clack, 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 clack. And she get to this one cell right across from me, she's standing there. You know what I mean? And she ain't locked no more doors. Her girl was downstairs, the old bad body unit manager I told you about, called and said, such and such, come here, what you doing? Come on, we got to go lock the other side down. And she's standing in the doorway. You know what she doing? Put in the comments what she doing. You know what I mean? Put in the comments if you got it right. You know what I mean? Be honest. So now, come to find out what she was doing is, when they called lockdown and they got to her cell, she's standing up there. There's a dude in the cell. He in the top bunk. He butt naked and he got his jaw down and he's stroking it. And she's sitting there looking at this man licking his lips. You see how these females play head games with these dudes? So now this dude thinking that she in love with him. You understand what I'm saying? So now you get away with that. No, so she go downstairs. So his cellie pissed off. You know what I mean? Like somebody across the hall could see, you know, a little bit of the cell or whatever. So they telling his cellie, yo, you got to put your knife in dude, man. He was in there masturbating to Shorty, the secretary, while you in the bed. He like, nah, I was in the bottom bunk. I ain't know what was happening. I ain't see it. Whatever he do on the top bunk is his business. He's like, but I'm telling you what he was doing on the top bunk. You know what I mean? So, of course, his homies ran him in, stabbed him up, you know what I mean, for not stabbing the dude because he had his joint out in the cell with him in the cell and he butt naked. So now dude sitting there that was in the top bunk, now he gets the bottom bunk. So now he the only one in the cell. So being to see the secretary, she comes up and she bring you whatever papers they got from the, you know, the unit team or your case manager or, you know, whatever. You know, so she always come up to this dude's cell and she'd stand at the door. So everybody knew what she was doing. She was a cold freak. So now she standing up at the door, and whatever he was doing, it got carried away one day, real carried away. So it got carried away so much that here comes another officer that's just doing regular rounds. He walked by, and he's not really paying her no mind because he's not thinking she's doing no shit like that. So when he walks by, he's looking in every cell to make sure that nobody in there doing that they ain't supposed to do, sharpening knives, shooting dope, cutting dope, bagging dope, having sex, whatever. So he walked by and he looking in every cell, and he's walking by her, but she's short and he's tall. So he's walking by her, he sees over her head, and he sees the dude in there standing up, butt naked, masturbating. So now he rips the door open, pushes her out the way, and he tells her to write him up. You know what I mean? So now I'm thinking, damn, maybe my crazy Shelly in California that was talking about what happened over here in Florida in Coleman was true. Because she was allowing him to get off. You know what I mean? But then now she turns around and the police tells her to write him up, and he writes him up. So it played out like my man was saying. You know what I mean? So now we come out and they lock the boy up, but they let him back out and he come in the unit. So when he come back in the unit, I asked him, I said, yo, why they ain't transfer you? And he said, nah, because, you know, she came up there and said that was the first time I did it. And, you know, she spoke for me and said she didn't feel offended. Because this could turn out all day. They wound up having a lawsuit, you know what I mean, in Coleman, Florida. If you want me to tell you about the lawsuit, I'll tell you about the lawsuit. The lawsuit was that, you know, the staff was allowing the inmates to, what they call it, the staff was allowing the inmates to sexually abuse them. That's what they call it, sexual abuse. You know what I mean? When, you know, you pull your joint out and masturbate to a female. Because they used to lock them up, let them right back out. So I said, well, why didn't they transfer you? He said, nah, she came and spoke for me. So now it all throws out the window what my other man was saying, because he told me he was married to her. So that's what his wife could have done to keep him on the compound, like this little Spanish chick did to keep dude on the compound. You see where I'm coming from with this? So, but it's just twisted that, you know, these dudes is twisted in the head that they even do this. And it's crazy because when I first started the bid, it was only Cubans doing this. No disrespect to the Cubans. Big shout out to the Cubans. Big shout out to the Cubans. All right, so let me finish. So now the Cubans was the ones when we was at Lewisburg, they used to work in the dishwashing room, go to the dishwashing room at lunchtime. You could see right out the chute when you put the tray in to see all the women standing right in front of the thing, waiting for everybody to come up and ask them what they want to ask them at what they call main line. Y'all know main line. And the Cubans would sit behind there and they'll masturbate to the women. And they got the trays right there. You know what I mean? So it was a thing we'd do. We're like, yo, they masturbating the trays, bringing them back to us. So, of course, you know, we stabbed up all the Cubans, ran them up out the dishwashing room. You know what I mean? Because they in the back, you know, masturbating to the women while they sitting there washing the trays we got to eat off of. Picture that. So that's why a lot of the homies, you know, old timers like me that been in for a minute, we go to the kitchen, we normally take our little bowl, take our spoon with us, you understand what I'm saying? And our own little cup, because we ain't trying to use the kitchen stuff, because you don't know what the kitchen staff doing. We don't witness that from back in the 90s with Lewisburg, with the, you know, Cuban, you know, refugee inmates that didn't have no sentence from the Castro joint, from Scarface, you know, how he came over here yelling Moringa and all of that, you know what I mean? When Castro forward everybody over here. So we know about that, so we don't do none of that. But that's what happened with dude. I've been on here long enough, man. I just wanted to give y'all a little something to let you know that, man, you know, dudes' minds are twisted, man. Dudes' minds are twisted. That's just the way it is. Just to let you know what's going on in the prison. It ain't nothing nice. We ain't going for none of that. And it is what it is, you know. So we're going to stop all that bull crap, and we're going to get this thing right. All right? So just remember.
Mecca what? Mecca audio.
And definitely gunshots. All right?
Hi guys, welcome to Platinum Cuisines. We're located in Freeport on the Nautical Mile. Just wanted to introduce my partner, Amy.
Hi guys, how are you? And this is my sister-in-law, Diana, another partner. I just ask that you come support our minority-owned business. We serve Asian fusion, Caribbean cuisine, and we have a beautiful restaurant located on the Nautical Mile in Freeport, New York. And we're asking that you come check us out and also make sure to tune in to Mecca Audio TV.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
can of 26. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the root men.